Hello, everybody. Welcome. Is it okay? Welcome here to talk about Industrie 4.0 on French-German cooperation. I'm François-Xavier de Thieulois. I'm in charge in expertise at the, let's say, consulting part of BPI France. And I'm very happy to share this time with you because one of my topics is Industrie 4.0 on AI. So Aymeric DE PONTBRIAND, our guest, our French guest, will talk about what is AI and what is Industrie 4.0. On Magdalena, I thought also a very specific relationship with Germany because I studied in Technical University of Munich, where Magdalena is researching. She's a research associate at the Technical University of Munich. And I didn't mention your title, Aymeric, sorry for that. Aymeric is CEO of Scortex, which is a startup specializing in visual recognition for quality in industrial processes. So we'll talk. Why did we want to make a roundtable on cooperation? Because the world is everywhere increasing in complexity. So we need to be in ecosystems. Obviously, the German industry is very strong. We've got a very strong ecosystem of startups in France. So there is obvious links or obvious topics of cooperation. Industry 4.0 is vital for every company because really it's. I always take the example of the steam machine. Nobody has ever seen a factory working with steam machines. It's totally dead. In 50 years' time, we won't see any factory without Industry 4.0 everywhere in the factory. After this introduction, I will let Magdalena talk about. Sorry, I should have put the faces and names of our guests. Magdalena talk about what is the circular economy because it's an increasingly important topic in Industry 4.0. How can we have an industry more green? It's very important. So, please, could you explain us what is circular economy?
Yeah. Well, hello and welcome also from my side. My name is Magdalena PAUL. I am a research associate at Technical University of Munich. And, well, I'm very happy to be here today with you. And, well, I have brought this sentence here because as a researcher, as an engineer, when we see a problem, we also see a task. So our task right now is to make what we are doing more sustainable. And, of course, a lot of very intelligent people like him have said that before, but this task will keep on and will be important for all of us. And I think we, as researchers, as engineers, as industrials, we have the lever to do something. And so we have to get our industries, our manufacturing systems more sustainable. What does this mean? Well, we need it to be non-polluting, conserving of energy and natural resources, economically viable, safe and helpful for workers and the environment, and also socially and creatively rewarding. This is a huge task, and there's lots for us to do, and there's a lot of levers that we can take and a lot of aspects that we can tackle. And what I'm going to introduce is going circular. So instead of a linear production, where we go from take, make, use to dispose, we go to a circular one where we go from make, use to return, which means we are completely omitting the raw material extraction from our planet and we don't do landfills anymore. Instead, we go circular. We take our product after the first use and bring it back to the circle. We can either do that by repair or by reuse. We can do that by remanufacturing, which means that we take the product back, disassemble it, clean it, reassemble it, and then bring it back into the circle as good as new. Or we can also do that by recycling, which means that we will keep the material in the flow. Well, but how do we get there? There's some aspects that we have to take into consideration. First and foremost, the most important one is that we need to be communicating along the complete cycle. So we need to collaborate with all the actors that are in the life cycle of our product. Second point is we need to integrate the design of the product, design of the process, and the design of the complete system. So we need to take a very holistic approach. The next point is that we need to shift our business models, our concepts of how we work, which basically means we need to change, to shift our minds and think in a different way on how we do business. Another point is that we definitely need to know what we are doing, when we are doing it, and how our products are produced and used. So we need lots of data, we need a digital twin, we know as much as possible about the product and the process as we can. And of course we need to develop new technologies for that. And in my opinion, Industry 4.0, the tools that we have, that we already use in our companies, can be the tools that can help us to not make our company more fast or higher quality, but also more sustainable and greener.
Thank you, Magdalena. So you said that Industry 4.2 is the enabler. So what is Industry 4.2?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So hi, everyone. So I'm Aymeric DE PONTBRIAND. I'm the CEO of Scortex. And I'm going to talk on another side of why we think Industry 4.0 is important and in the sustainability aspect of it as well. So what we want to do at Scortex is allow manufacturers to make more efficient use of their resources. And we focus on quality. One of the pivotal moments of when I created Scortex was entering in an automotive supplier's factory. They produce plastic parts that are painted, and I realized that their scrap rate, which is the amount of parts that they've just been produced, they're throwing away for quality issues, was between 20 to 30%. That's a number they will never give you, but when you spend time in a factory and when you start automating the quality control, you realize that this is something that is quite common in a lot of production lines. And I'm talking of a factory that is a factory of one of the global leaders in automotive supplies. So the cost of quality is huge from a financial perspective, but also from a resource perspective. And the Industry 4.0 for me, the main goal besides technology is actually manufacturers are obsessed with continuous improvement and how they can make better use of their resources. So we want to make sure that we build technology to actually allow that. And this is why I'm excited by what we can bring to manufacturers in terms of, okay, this type of technology, in our case, it's artificial intelligence to automate visual inspection reliably, is allowing them to actually understand their quality issues and start solving them. The reason they can afford to have a high scrap rate is because they don't know how to actually fix it because they lack the tools. So this is why we focus on implementing reliable inspection on production lines, but also we see those inspection stations as data source. And that will allow data-driven manufacturing, and that we provide reliable, real-time data to the teams of experts that now afterwards can start working on the process to make it more efficient. They're not happy about having high scrap rates, so they want to be able to make sure that they have access to the data that can help them start working on reducing that amount of defective goods. And that has an impact across the organization. If you understand what you're doing in real time and consistently, that has an impact on the shop floor. You understand what you can work on, the parameters you need to work on, you need to understand what you need to produce, but also it's impacts your suppliers. They understand what impact they have on your production and also bringing visibility to your end customer. And that's so the main thing for us and the way we want to address and bring Industry 4.0 is through reducing the cost of quality, and that will allow us to actually, in kind of 3 essential steps, reducing the amount of resources that we need to produce the same goods. And it's first by providing smart automation through AI, but also that means the automation generates data, and data is insights on your production. And afterwards, we can start having continuous improvements of how actually we optimize parameter and dynamic optimization of the production that ultimately reduce the cost of quality and the amount of resources needed to produce the same output.
Thanks. And yeah, we'll go back. We'll go back to the pictures in order you better know who are speaking. The point is, as you've seen, there is first a cooperation between technical tools on recycling, on greener ideas, objectives. There is a lot of cooperation needed. We've got a German lady, a French guy on the floor. What is first the interest of cooperating between France and Germany on these topics of sustainability, Industry 4.0? Magdalena first, ladies first.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think we can learn a lot from each other as countries, as researchers. I have been working in a couple of bilateral projects with French universities, and it has always proven to be very successful because as similar as we are as neighboring countries, as Europeans, there's still different approaches on how we address things and go ahead with doing or with reaching our goals. And I think as the partners we are and as the neighbors we are, we should have this common goal on reaching prosperity and sustainable manufacturing or sustainable production for all of Europe.
Thanks. From the French region?
Yeah, well, that is the first aspect of it. Germany's manufacturing space is probably 2 to 3 times bigger than France for now.
3 to 4, I'm afraid.
Yeah, bigger than that. So first, I mean, we need to look into, okay, what are neighbors doing well? And if you are a solution provider in Industry 4.0, it's an opportunity. Sometimes a German factory is much closer than a French one, so it's worth going out there. And also from a very concrete perspective, the German academia is a lot closer to the industrial space than what we see in France. And when we looked into a research partner for applied research into our product and innovation that we wanted to push forward, we actually found the right partner in Germany for some of our key projects around AI and data. And that was extremely relevant for us because they understood and were already working with other factories. So they knew concretely what we were aiming for. And we couldn't find a similar partner in France.
And how did you do that, the cooperation between industry or operational enterprise and academic world? How did you do that first from your point of view, and then Magdalena?
Go ahead this time.
Please, like Aymeric, you were on the topic.
Okay. So yeah, for us it was pretty straightforward. We had a key theme where we understood that we lacked the internal capabilities, and we spent quite a bit of time in Germany. One of the strengths in Germany is there are a lot of professional networks, and we spent a bit of time there to meet people and understand who were working on those topics. And we actually met this research institute that was working precisely on the topic. For those who are curious, it was about simulation of data that are used in training of our algorithm. So that's quite a precise topic that is, and the only research institute we could find that was working specifically on this topic in manufacturing was in Germany. The nice thing is that they were really pragmatic into having deliverables that are actionable for us afterwards, and that was a really important moment to be able to actually project ourselves and invest in that type of research.
And from the academic perspective, how is it to work with startups or SMEs?
Well, I have to say, so I have been doing a lot of research projects with France, but we actually had some problems to integrate French companies into our research. So most of the time when we are having bilateral projects, France and German, we have German companies included in our consortiums. So I think it would be really interesting to have more French companies in our research to test our approaches and to discuss more about what we're researching on directly with industry, to get some maybe other requirements from the French side as well, and not only from the German SME side.
Yeah, that's the first cultural difference. Obviously, we all know that the German SMEs are much more clear. Are much more able to work with academics. What do you see as other different cultural differences and how to overcome them? Magdalena?
To be honest, I don't see the cultural differences as very big. Actually, I don't even see a lot of them. I mean, okay, there's the language, which can be a little bit complicated sometimes. But other than that, I see the countries so close in values, in goals, in where they want to go in research and what they want to reach, that it makes it super easy, actually, to work together. And from different experiences of countries to work together with, I had the feeling that France, the cultural differences is just so small that it's so easy to work together. So there isn't too many, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say that you're in Bavaria, and Bavaria is probably the part in Germany which is closer to France. That's
Maybe.
probably an explanation also. Well, I'm much more closer to Bavarians people than the North people. But from the French perspective, how was it to with German customers more than differences?
I'll have to politely disagree. I do think we have a very close tie with Germany, and that's really awesome. I believe in Europe, and I believe in the French-German relationship to have a strong Europe. I think it's extremely important for commercial success at scale. And having to go to Germany and do a go-to-market in Germany, what struck me is to build a relationship with German manufacturers as a French technology provider. It takes time. You'll have to be patient. You have to build the trust. The Germans are very proud of their technology, of their manufacturing space. So buying a French technology to introduce that in a factory will necessarily take a bit of work, and you have to prove that what you're building is worth it. But then in the long term, once you've gained that trust, you're in for the long run. Once you've gained the trust, you know that it's a long-term partnership. And the communication is quite easy. They'll be direct communicator. They will say when they're not happy and be quite clear on what's going well, what's not going well, and that's very useful. And you'll find that also on the contractual aspect of it. So that's I think the best aspect of the relationship is the clarity, direct communication. Usually there's not much bullshit, and they'll say we don't like something. And as a young company that was growing, the feedback was extremely valuable to be better. It takes time, as I mentioned, but once you're there, it's for the long run.
So that was more the cultural aspect. Are there differences between the way companies are run? For instance, I don't know, Aymeric first?
I guess
Magdalena? If you see differences, probably as you said, you didn't have the chance yet, but I hope that the audience will want to work with German academics. But do you have an idea of the differences in the way of conducting business between France and Germany?
I don't know about industry, actually. I mean, I'm in research, so I can only see the difference in how research is done, which I think, as Aymeric already said, it's way more application-oriented in Germany and more theoretical here in France. But I cannot really give any input on how businesses work because I'm a researcher, so I give the question to Aymeric.
So your time?
From the
Companies aware of the way of doing business and the...
But I mean, from the experience we had, we were able to have this direct communication, direct relationship was, I guess, the most relevant aspect of it for us, and we were able to access much more easily different level of the hierarchy of manufacturers. They're pretty pragmatic in their approach. If they see a big impact, there will be, I would say, less politics that you could see in France. If they project themselves, you've proven that you're worth it, then the relationship will escalate quickly, and they want to make sure it happens afterwards, and that it scales. That was extremely valuable.
Okay, our last question. How do you see, what impact do you see on Industry 4.0, as a conclusion, let's say? What impact do you see in Industry 4.0 on the companies? On the factories mainly, but not only, because they can change also business models, etc. Magdalena?
I would say that Industry 4.0 won't be that big of a name anymore in the future, in my opinion. It will be more of a set of tools that we can use to reach our goals. So we need something to be more interconnected. We need something to be more digitalized. We need something to be more able to communicate. And so I think all those possibilities that Industry 4.0 poses and that has already been done a lot of research on needs now to be taken and be used for all the specific tasks we want it for. For example, as I said before, to enhance the possibilities that the circular economy has.
Yeah, the potential. So first,
More the already impact. It can be potential, but what do you see now already?
I mean, I'm pretty excited by what's happening in manufacturing overall. I work a lot in the automotive space. The automotive industry is massive in Germany, but like I think it's the biggest revolution we've seen in 100 years. They have to be electrification. We're redefining what a car is, how it will be used, how it will be bought, and that will impact and a ripple in all other sectors of manufacturing. Automotive has always kind of been a pioneer in imposing other manufacturing methodology, and that's like really exciting. Then there's the data aspect of it that I mentioned earlier. Data-driven manufacturing, I think, is going to be a massive impact. But that means it can only be used if you have the people internally that do know how to leverage this type of technology, and that's a massive pain, finding internal talent or recruiting those talents. So making sure that the providers understand or building tools that can be used by people who are already on the shop floor. So the user experience is going to be a critical aspect of it, and making sure that people, your technicians, your operators are not left behind when you adopt Industry 4.0. And also, I believe it will only work if there is big ecosystems. And it's for circular economy, it's around data. So the visibility across the supply chain and making sure that Europe can be a pioneer in that way is going to be essential to leverage those technologies as much as possible, both from a performance perspective. We run business and we want to make sure they're efficient, but also we want to make sure that the impact we have with the manufacturing space is diminishing, or at least going in a positive way. So I'm pretty excited by what you can do, actually.
Thank you. I think your last interventions are really an excellent conclusion for the part of the presentations. So it's time now for the more interactivity with the audience. So please, if you've got some questions, it's the time. Yep, Paul Guillem. I think Melody has a mic.
Thank you, Melody. Maybe less a question than an additional remark in terms of concrete possibilities for French-German cooperation in Industry 4.0. So maybe for the audience, and especially towards companies, France and Germany agreed together to tackle some technological issues through some joint treaties, such as AI, 5G. So for example, BPI France and DLR agencies launch call for project, including companies, researchers, academics, together every year. 2 years ago it was on AI. A few months ago it was a call for project on 5G between France and Germany. And these call for projects are very good opportunities to bring together researchers, companies, in order to improve and to accelerate your research and innovation, but as well your business development, because you will create a bond of work and trust among the partners. And working, as Magdalena says, working with academics in Germany is a very good gateway to find industrial partners as well, because they have many contacts with industry. So it was just an additional remark.
Thanks for the remark. It's important, this cooperation, because, as I said in introduction, the complexity is increasing. We need to cooperate, otherwise we won't tackle it. Other questions, remarks?
Hi. Can you describe more specifically the programs that are available, the two programs that are available for French companies who want to export in Germany?
So there's a multitude of possibilities here. I think the best partner to talk to here would also be Paul Guillem, who is... no, he's not? He's not. There's a multitude of projects. I think it is specific to what the topic is. So there is some that are more research-based, there are some that are more application-based and go into a higher technology readiness level. It would definitely need a discussion first to decide where we would be headed for the funding.
And I guess there are two things. There are the one where if you're looking for partnerships, and then there's some colorful projects. We benefited from one on AI, where you could build relationship with research institutes. But there's also like BPI is supporting when you want to export your products with insurances specific that are useful, so you diminish the risks. But also, I also strongly encourage you to just go there. There are trade shows for every single industrial niche in Germany, and they're usually very valuable, and you can build a network pretty easily. When I started, I just took the train. I went to Munich, Stuttgart, and spent time there in trade shows, in networks, and built my network for this because they want to collaborate. One, if you're an innovative company, for example, the Munich network is a really large collaborative innovation agency that is extremely valuable, and they are almost the major manufacturers in Bavaria are part of this network, and you're exposed to those if you're a relevant partner for them, and that's extremely valuable.
And actually, it's when the cultural differences, which wasn't mentioned in Germany, is really very. You need to go to trade show. It's not an option. In France, it might be an option. So that's a very big difference. But I think the whole BPI France team here are much more expert-oriented than I'm personally. So also, please don't hesitate to ask them. We've got still time for other questions. Yeah, Laurent, please.
In a very, very practical way, let's say I'm a French industrial and I look at Germany with a lot of experience in industrialization, and I'm thinking maybe I could get closer to one German industrial who's not a direct competitors but who have similar issues in a very, very practical way. How do I find this partner?
Magdalena first. Aymeric and
I can only talk about how you could find the fitting research partner because, well, basically you just write them. It's very easy, and researchers in Germany, they are used to being approached as well by companies who say, hey, I have this idea, can we discuss about it? Is there any opportunities at the moment where we can keep on driving this idea forward? So it's something that's very common to me, so I get those emails from German companies mostly, a lot of times, and then we could proceed. But I don't know how it is for industry partners.
But I mean, this is first very important. If you have a very specific issue that you're looking to tackle, and it's from a technological standpoint or a process perspective, it's likely that there is a German institute or a researcher that is working on this topic, and it's very likely that he's talked to tens of industrial on that very topic. So it's a very good gateway to actually build a network. For example, our new head of research is German, and he's been working on an AI anomaly detection and quality control for a few years, and he's talked to tens of companies, and he's out of his PhD. So it's very concrete, and they have a network. They've worked on topics. Then there's those trade organization. The Munich network is an example. Those are the ones that are very approachable, and they'll happily point you to any companies that are relevant for you to discuss. And the trade shows, again. Trade shows are amazing to build a network and to meet other companies.
And actually, at BP France, we offer service for finding the right international cooperation project. So there are lots of options, really. But as Magdalena said, it has to be thought really, looking at what is precisely what do you need. Is it more academic? Is it more business? And so...
And very concretely, it's worth taking the train and going there.
Yeah, that's for sure. So it's the end of this roundtable. Merci beaucoup, Aymeric. Vielen Dank, Magdalena. Das war sehr angenehm. And merci à tous. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.